Yeah, whatever. There we are. Okay, now we have to share it on social media.
I was trying to do Kirk.
Kirk?
Yeah, we had that.
Not that Kirk. The other Kirk.
Yeah.
We got tricked. Spoiler alert here. We got
spoilers now.
We'll be giving out some of those tonight.
A little late.
After you say it, then the ship has sailed.
No, it could have been George Kirk.
The ship has sailed.
I'm all ears. No pun intended.
Yeah, that's right.
Try the veal. I'm at 10 forward all night.
All week.
Yeah, for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Trip wanted to bring back movie night. We're bringing back open mic night. Why am I on the Technorama page? I have no idea.
I have no idea either.
We don't have show notes or anything, right?
The topic is Trek.
Well, I've got just some notes I was putting in there for to maneuver through the 2 episodes. So I'll kind of go down those as we're progressing through. We can, hop on.
That's a nice opening frame on Facebook. You got to admit that's one of our better ones.
What's that? I got to go see.
You've got your scared face. I got my dancing hands, and Clinton's just smiling like a politician.
Yeah. Like, why am I here?
What is
Who
all
are these clowns? Who are these clowns?
Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
I love it. That's awesome.
Oh, look, YouTube is telling me the topic is Trek is now live. We should go. Can I go watch?
Yeah, go check that out. Let us know.
I hear it's better than the seventh rule.
Of acquisition?
The podcast.
The 7th rule. What's that one?
Oh my gosh, Craig.
The 7th rule? What is that?
That's the one with Jake Sisko that Aaron Eisenberg started.
I don't know. I haven't listened to it.
Good for you.
There's a million podcasts out there. What?
And Ryan, what's his name? Ryan what?
Ryan Gosling?
No.
Ryan Reynolds?
No.
Ryan Seacrest?
Oh, you guys
Too many
are killing me.
Ryan O'Neill?
I knew there was another
Nolan
one.
Ryan? What Ryan?
Sarah Lofton, Aaron Eisenberg, and Ryan starts with an H. Husk. Ryan Husk. That's it.
And you were picking on me for not knowing about the show.
Oh, I saw them on the cruise. That's how I know. I was telling them, they said they were talking to what was it, the Sci-Fi sisters who were sitting right behind me, and Ryan came out from the stage to the seats before the show, and he said, "Hey, would you guys like to talk microphones towards the end of the show?" I said, "I would. Yeah. I've got 17 years of experience podcasting, and I
wrote the book on
Podcasting for Dummies." And he looked at me like, "Who are you?"
He said, "Are you calling me a dummy?"
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
And we do a Star Trek podcast, loser.
I'm sorry. I kind of zoned out when you said dummy.
I'm not talking to you. You're in the second row. They're in the third row. Right. All right. We have no viewers at this point. We have a great community. Dr. Muhammad Noor is always on the live chat for the 7th rule. We should get him to come on here.
By the way, Chuck,
chat with. Yes.
Did you get the new soundbite? I know you heard it today.
Which soundbite?
Yeah, I was gonna.
Did you create a new soundbite for me?
No, I haven't made one. No,
I didn't have time to stop to do it, but it's something the Uhura says, I believe, is what you're referring to, Craig.
Hailing frequencies open?
Nope.
Actually, a couple people said it.
She never said that.
Nope, she didn't say that.
No, not that. That's not what we're talking about.
She mentioned the 2 magic words.
Look at the show notes.
There was no subspace chatter around the planet.
Oh, that's right.
And then somebody else mentioned it right after her. I was like, we got it twice. Somebody's chatter.
Sure. Whatever you say.
I won't do it again. Please, I'll be good. I won't ever do it again.
Oh, I don't know about that, Charlie.
See?
Poor guy. He sounds
right there.
Yeah.
Crackpot talk.
Yep.
That's what the show is. A whole bunch of crackpot talk. And for the handful of people that watch the video, you get this special stuff that doesn't make it to the podcast. All right. I'm ready to record when you are.
Okay.
Where are we starting? We're starting way up on episode number 114. Coming up in this episode, we only have 2 bullet items. Is that
Hey,
good
wait.
enough?
What happened to in Vulcan, Canada today? Just kidding.
We will not find out because there is, as I said, there is no news in this thing today.
I'm kidding.
Well,
I'm
I'm
kidding.
Gary Gnu, and there no gnu's is good gnu's.
Oh, that reminds me. I got to go tell Joe Fiore. We listened to his podcast because he was talking. He was asking.
I love how a Muppets reference reminds you of Joe.
Well, he was the that was the ID that he played on a show. That's why it reminded me. But he was talking. He got a new microphone, which was a big upgrade for him, to be honest with you. And he said he was having He heard somebody say something about dropouts, but from them all I heard, it sounded fine to me.
I'm a podcast school dropout.
Yeah. Oh, I skipped podcast high school and went straight to market.
Podcast high school. Love that song by the Ramones. Okay.
Project
I
Redacted.
I was making the hygienist laugh today.
Even your wallpapers have spoiler alerts. Clinton.
Project Redacted.
It says redacted. It's no spoiler. It says redacted. There's no spoiler there.
We find out.
No, I said even your wallpaper has just spoilers redacted.
It certainly opens up some ideas, doesn't it?
It does
and
indeed.
how she got on the Enterprise, but we'll leave that for it's kind of nice how they tied those 2 shows together. But anyway, let's continue on.
All right.
I'm going to give the countdown.
Okay.
5, 4, 3.
This is The Topic is Trek, episode 114 for Friday, May 6th, 2022. Coming up in this episode, Picard Season 2 ends and Strange New World Season 1 begins. That's right, we're back already. All that right now on The Topic is Trek. Back to the Future's Past. Welcome to The Topic is Trek, the podcast that runs on impulse power. Join us for a journey where no show has gone before. If it has to do with Star Trek, there's a good chance we'll talk about it sooner or later, because on this show, the topic is Trek. Engage already. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another thrill-packed edition of The Topic is Trek. I'm Clinton, one of your co-hosts. And yes, we're back after just 1 week because we have a couple of fairly significant episodes that just hit today or yesterday if you're listening to this on the day that we released the episode. However, if you're watching, then it's today. That's right. We actually do a broadcast on, let's see, we'll ask Chuck when he gets here because he hasn't beamed in yet, where they might find the live feed. But we have to beam in my co-hosts. And here, joining me with the hip new catchphrase, he's only had a week to work on it, so I'm sure it's going to be a little rough. But the new catchphrase is Mr. Craig Step.
Hello, Mo Capitan.
Topical.
Is that one taken? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that kind of is, but and also is Mr. Chuck Tomasi.
Query: where does Craig get his material?
So I was just mentioning
Topical,
Chuck,
like a skin rash, I think.
I was just mentioning Chuck about the fact that we do broadcast live.
Yes.
When we're doing the show, where might people find?
You can find them on YouTube by searching for The Topic is Trek or the Facebook page, The Topic is Trek. Easy as that. We do it both at the same time. So no matter where you live or what part of the world you're in, you can find us there. We do these on our Thursday night, usually every other Thursday. So every fortnight on a Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern time.
No excuses. You can find us anywhere.
Put it on your calendar.
That's right. All right. And this is going to be a rather unusual episode because we just had an episode last week where we talked a lot about Star Trek news. And to be quite honest, pretty much all the Star Trek news the past week has been about Strange New Worlds. And we're going to talk about Strange New Worlds anyway. So I have to say to Charlie that I'm sorry, Charlie, but there's no subspace chatter this week. But I still get to say goodbye to you, Charlie. So
You don't need all that subspace chatter.
No, we don't. You're actually correct this week.
He's right.
He's right for once. Charlie, you're like a broken clock. Eventually, you'll be right.
He's right twice a day.
Unless it's a digital one, in which case it's just off.
Flashing or
off. Won't do it again. Please, I'll be good. I won't ever do it again.
No.
Yeah.
Bye, Charlie.
Never be right again.
Well, we may have a replacement in store for Charlie pretty soon now, so you better watch his P's and Eric's? No. Oh my goodness. Well, speaking of P's and Q's, we're going to talk first about the season finale of Star Trek Picard. So to give us a bit of background on this episode, Chuck, why don't you take it away for this first one?
Star Trek Picard Season 2, Episode 10 is entitled Farewell. Written by Christopher Monfett and Akiva Goldsman. Directed by Michael Weaver. Here is your brief synopsis. With just hours until the Europa launch, Picard and the crew find themselves in a race against time to save the future. That's kind of the premise of the whole season, I think.
Pretty much.
Yep. You summed it up. Thanks.
They could have done this in one episode. Is that what you're saying?
And speaking of Akiva Goldsman, it's like Akiva Goldsman night here on the Topic is Trek, because not only did he write this episode, but the next thing we're going to be talking about is, when we talk about Strange New Worlds, he directed and co-wrote that episode. So all Akiva all the time.
Brown noser.
Yeah. You think you like Star Trek or something.
I know, it's weird. But let's talk about Picard, because it's all come down to this, as they say. We have the crew is sitting around wondering, well, what are we supposed to do now to stop this thing from happening? Because, okay, we don't have a ship anymore because Borgatti, as I'm calling
Borgatti,
took off with that, and we don't have a clue what's going on. They have this piece of information that the Borg Queen left, that in order for things to succeed, one Renee must die and one must live.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that was very foretelling, but not foretelling. It's like it was like a riddle in itself.
Well, I can't. Again, I mentioned this on the last episode when we talked. I was like, okay, so Renee, one did die that we know of. So I thought, are they going to work that in somehow? But
you're thinking about the child who died in the fire?
Yeah.
No, that was in the future.
His nephew. I know, but I'm just saying. Well, they said 2 Renees. I'm like, where are you going to get 2 Renees? There's 2 right there.
But
look, how many times have there been 2 Kirks? How many? All you need is a good transporter accident.
Today.
Transporter accident, and there you go.
There's been 2 Kirks today.
But we do notice that when they mention that phrase again, that all of a sudden, Talon has this look on her face, and suddenly Picard has this look on his face, like they've figured out what that means. Why they don't tell anyone else, I don't know, but they both seem to know exactly.
Because they were
she
in the script.
even said, "Not now." I was like,
"Yeah."
They were in the script writing room when they wrote it all down. I know what we ought to do next.
Yeah, it's on page 5. Yeah,
that makes sense. No, it doesn't. It makes no sense at all. But Talon is going to go to not to mission control, to the launch site.
And Where was that launch site anyway?
It was very close to a lot of buildings and
mountains.
When the launch happened, they could just, see it beyond a building.
Yeah, they launched from Colorado. When did that start happening?
Well, speaking of the launch, the one thing I had a huge problem with is, okay, you see Renee come out of the room, and then within, it seems like 10 minutes later, the rocket's going up. No
Well-
rocket goes up that quick. It's
Well,
like from
they did say that
It was like T-minus 50 when
it was T-minus 60,
when
60,
Tillin
but
and yeah.
usually what happens in a launch is you have built-in holding patterns. And I agree that usually the crew is on board
Yeah.
within that time, but it's kind of like a football 60 minutes. Is it? Well, that could be like 3 days.
Oh wait, we got
With all
commercial
those-
breaks in here.
All those holds in there.
Stop the
Yeah.
clock again.
It just seemed funny. It's like from the time that she came out there and saw Adam, and then of course she was dying, and then you see the rocket going. I was like, wow, she didn't even have time to go get in the rocket if that was real. She was the one going.
And very, very
She's
close.
like pulling on her boots and she's hopping down the hallway. I'm coming.
Yeah.
Don't close the door.
And very, 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 very close to the building itself, because that was amazingly, like, look, it's right over there. Wow.
Yeah.
But I guess it'd be a lot less dramatic if it was right over there. Way over
Yeah.
there.
Well, we got to drive to it. Yeah.
All right. So while they're going off to try to stop the mission from stopping, if that makes any sense, we have Girardi and Seven and Rios head off to Sung's.
No, Rafi. Girardi's long out of the picture.
Sorry,
Rafi.
to Rafi's to try to stop him. And we hear his voice when they get there saying lots and lots of things about drones and this and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. But it's just a recording. Oh, outsmarted by a Sung.
And a really good audio system.
Yes, that's right. Surround sound, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, a little speaker probably wouldn't have worked very well for that. Hey, I'm right here. I'm right over here.
Yeah. Launch pad. Like, that is the worst Bluetooth I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And yet, it's a decoy, but no, not that kind of decoy.
Oh.
But he has the drones right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
that was nice.
Hey, my whole, the second viewing, I was like, why did they just jam something like a chair or something in there to keep the drones from just launching? They were right there.
Because if they said if they jacked with them, they could blow right there.
Yeah, but he's saying just set something on top of them. Don't
to keep them from leaving the
close
roof.
the pod bay doors so they just go boing, doing, 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 trying to get out like mosquitoes.
Well, yeah. I was like,
Just
why don't you
makes
just take a chair and jam it in, so they couldn't take off.
They were evil drones too, because they had red LEDs.
They actually did. And Girardi was able to hack into the system because, as often happens, especially in this season of Picard, whatever they're doing, they should do it just faster.
Yes.
So
you're gonna have to pick up the pace a little bit.
Yeah. Gotta human up. You've told me to Borg up. You got to human up and get that thing done.
Whatever you're doing, I need you to do it quicker. We're out of time.
Well, they could have used that advice, and they could have used that advice through the whole series.
Did you feel like that whole thing with the drones was just? I mean, we talk about the fact there are a lot of placeholders in this season, but the drones thing was just very anticlimactic. That well, of course they're going to stop the drones and blah blah blah, and it just kind of was there as for something for them to do. It seemed like.
I think that was the same idea for having Brent Spiner on there. I love Brent Spiner, but he didn't need to be there.
But I don't think he's done. I don't. We'll get into this at the end. But I think he needed his hook in season 2 to really make him do what he needs to do in season 3. That's my guess.
But I don't really know if he did, because if he's just evil, he could just be evil from the get-go and whatever he's going to be doing in the next thing. So I don't know. I agree with you, Craig, that really didn't need him to do. I mean, it's fine that he was the one to do it, I suppose.
Yeah, contract.
Yeah, but I don't really think we did get some tie-ins. here we did see Corey come back, but apparently she exploited the one flaw in Sung's entire system. He has no offsite backups.
I was going to say, dude, no back.
Yeah.
You're a genius and you don't have any backups. No cloud, no NAS, no nothing.
You've done all that research, took all these notes and pictures and all video.
Over
You didn't
years.
back it up.
And all of a sudden, all the files are disappearing.
Well, again, I think the whole it was funny because it was like a little tiny subplot that really had nothing at all to do with the normal story. If you'd taken it out with Corey and the whole thing, what would the story, could the story have changed?
Well,
Not much.
I think you're right in a couple of ways about the fact that this introduces characters that we may see in season 3. We don't know if we will or not, but somehow I would imagine there's going to be another Sung somewhere in season 3 of
They're
Picard.
everywhere.
But what happens to Corey could come back in season 3. We'll talk about that in just a second. So that's a possibility that also is kind of an introduction to that character. Now, yes, you could introduce them in season 3 from the get-go, but I think that that's kind of that justification for that storyline. I don't know. Because Q could have done a lot of that stuff, really, even though he didn't have any powers, because Sung doesn't have any powers.
Yeah. Well, again, I think a lot, and we talked about the filler in this whole season. I think a lot of everything we saw for the last 10 episodes didn't matter. It didn't add to anything. You can watch the first episode and the last one, and then you'd know everything. Everybody was spinning their wheels. There wasn't anything. They weren't doing anything. So I don't know. I'm kind of feel like I've changed my mind on this. I love the idea of the Picard series, but it just didn't. I don't know. Didn't pull together for me.
Well, let's talk about what happens to Corey, because that came out of left field for me. I did not see that one coming.
At the very end.
Yeah.
She gets a message after she gets done deleting the one and only copy of every file.
Yeah, she hacked into a system
that Sung has. She gets another message, and at first you figure it's from Q because it's one of these same kind of messages that Q sent. But she goes to a meeting spot, and we see Will Wheaton there as not quite Wesley Crusher.
No, he represents the Traveler's Insurance.
He does. Welcome to the Travelers. Sign this contract.
No, I thought it was
She
a pretty
said,
cool
is this a recruitment speech?
Yeah.
He says, yeah, it's coming. Hold on a second. I'm not done.
But I enjoyed that little bit. I don't know if that was just to wrap up Corey's storyline and Will Wheaton, because it's a good I'm sorry, Wesley Crusher, excuse me, his character, because all you know is the deleted scene from Nemesis.
And which really didn't jive that well with. You expected more that he was going to go off with the Traveler, and sort of didn't, and you thought, well, what happened with that? That seemed like it was going to be a big deal. So it's nice to come back and say, well, actually, it was a big deal, and now he is one of the Travelers.
I thought it was really interesting, his tie-in that said, we're the ones who send out the protectors or the guardians. Like,
did you wonder the same thing I did? If you've got your choice, did he say, my buddy Picard, I think I'm going to send, this Romulan because it looks just like the person that he needs to reconcile with.
Right. Even though they're generations removed.
Strong genes, real strong. It's Sung family genes right there. I'm telling you.
Yeah. No, I thought it was really cool. And it did kind of wrap up a couple of questions, because Talon even mentioned earlier that she was kind of vague about her role and how she was assigned to this. And then, of course, now you kind of get an idea that the Travelers are kind of responsible for that. And Will Wheaton is one of them.
Travelers are
So-
kind of like big Buninskis, according to the way he's describing this thing. It's
They
like,
just keep
well,
they keep the universe from going off the rails.
yeah, but it's like, whose rails? Their rails. Hey,
That's right.
why do they get
Where's
to
their
decide
prime
where the rails
directive?
are? Yeah.
So anyway, jumping back a bit, Tallinn sacrifices herself to save Renee so she can get on board the
By
ship.
by
Mhm.
impersonating. Renee.
But she has to make Sung believe that he killed Renee. So that as soon as she came out of that room, like, that's not her. So, yeah, I don't know what it was, but I'm like, this isn't right. And he slips her the neurotoxin, and I went, would that neurotoxin have worked the same way on a Romulan? Like, different physiology, and he was planning for a human. I don't
Well,
know.
I know we'll talk about it in the Strange New Worlds, but that kind of makes your point for what the way Spock had a reaction to what we're going to talk about in a little bit. Their physiology is different, so yeah.
Right.
Well, I guess you could make the argument that it might and it might not. It has a shot at doing it. It depends on what it's trying to do. If it's trying to shut down your central nervous system, if it's trying to stop your heart from beating, it's like, not sure what, or is it just like a general rat poison, kind of just like just gonna throw the book at it and see what sticks.
All right. I'll get over it. There's many other things in here.
But I'm telling you that this paints a picture of Sung as someone who either he got really good at being really evil really fast, or just was plain old always just evil, because
Right.
I'm going to put neurotoxins on this fake palm, and then
I
I'm gonna
love
get
that gag. It's as funny as the joy buzzer.
Well, he wasn't averse to killing off the many versions of Corey
Well,
before,
he didn't kill them off;
Or-
they died.
They
or
died.
no, but he would bring somebody to life only to see them die shortly thereafter.
Right. So to him,
So
they
he-
were just experiments.
Yeah,
his
so I don't
work.
think I'm trying to figure out if his value on life is lesser because of that, or more because he was like, oh, let's try it again. But I think he was more for his own career and than for whatever he was trying to create.
Oh, absolutely. Because that's the question that Corey asks him, is like, so if I walk out the
Mhm.
door, are you more worried about losing me or your work? And
And to that same point, he was given the choice by Borgatti to
Sounds like a
here's
fancy
one path.
car.
does.
I'm gonna go buy myself a Lamborghini.
And so
It's like a Lamborghini and a Maserati mashed together.
yeah, that's right. So he had two choices, and he chose one because it would further his career, so to speak, or himself. So
Right. Because then he would have a legacy. He wouldn't
Mhm.
just be a regular person. He would be,
Mhm.
this mega thing.
Yeah, we saw a statue in the water in the future.
All right. So the mission actually takes off. Renee's in space.
And I thought it was very appropriate that, Picard is holding Tallinn in his arms as she's dying, and he says, "Look up." I'm like, oh yeah, there it is again. I thought that was a nice way to tie in the look up line.
Yeah, right.
I wanted Talon to say, "Yeah, I know how rockets work, Jean-Luc. Thank you very much."
Yeah.
Look up. You mean the curtains? No, not the curtains.
Made you look.
You mean they took off that quick?
Yes. I can't believe it. This is insane.
She wasn't even in her spacesuit yet. There were some
All right.
touching moments, though. I was surprised.
What do you think about the hug?
Yeah, the hug. That was great.
Right,
That was-
because
it was
we now get the scene where Jean-Luc decides he's going to put the key back in place
Put
in the chateau.
the key back.
And
What?
in 400 years, nobody notices that loose brick. Mm-hmm.
A lot of loose bricks there in Chateau Picard.
Yeah, a
if
lot
you
of
ask
loose
me.
bricks in the storyline.
Yeah.
Like as many as there are bullet holes in the walls.
Right.
Well,
Well, at least those were true to history, so he says.
well, even a mutual friend of ours started texting me after I guess he had watched the episode, and he said it was for him. It was an emotional moment. He
It
enjoyed
was.
seeing it wrap up,
Definitely.
with Q, because Q the whole time it makes sense why he was picking on Picard and everybody, but Picard mainly for these last 30-ish 35 years,
Well, because
'cause
Picard
he cared
didn't
about
punch him in the nose like Cisco did,
him.
Or try to strangle him like Rafi did. There's
Yeah,
only so many people.
exactly.
Yeah, that was a little much. Anyway,
All right,
but so
before we
yeah, he
move
said
on
he thought it
to
was. I was
the
going to
send
read to
back
you what he
arc.
said.
Yeah.
He said it was a wonderful way to add closure to a character that thought would always be there canonically, but would never see him again due to how time works in the real world. So he thought it was a touching moment. Um,
Now we can
I was
start the
trying,
rumors around John Delancey.
yeah,
I just, as we were getting closer to it and, realizing that Q is dying, going, didn't we see the death of a character in the season finale of Picard season 1 as well? Where they delete data, if you will. So
oh yeah, oh
Yep.
of course, yes.
I don't
Well,
know.
I wasn't
And,
really
and it's
thinking of it
a
as a
rebirth of Picard. In that one, he's now got a synthetic body. Now this is a rebirth
Of his
for
soul.
Picard of his soul this time.
Yeah.
actually. I
Is,
wasn't
is his
thinking of.
hair next season? I don't know.
I was trying to figure out who
Rebirth of
died,
his
but
hair.
because Data was already gone, technically dead.
Yeah, but still living in
Sort of.
that little chip room of his.
Yeah.
With Moriarty.
Yeah. Will you get out of here?
So,
So-
before we jump back to the future,
Mhm.
Well, we
I can't believe I
we
just said
have
back to-
that conversation between Q and Picard where he says, you need to finish asking the question. He goes, "Why me? Why is it
Yes.
me?" And essentially, he said that Q said that he was dying
Alone. He's dying
alone,
alone, and I
he
don't
didn't-
want that for you.
right? Because he said, even gods have their favorites, and you've always been one of mine. So I want you to absolve yourself of this guilt that you have, because if you hadn't put the key back, would you have grown up with a happy childhood with your mother? And he's just like, he puts up his shoulders going, I don't know.
He's,
Yeah.
he's
You
now
can't-
playing the Matrix Oracle lady.
Hmm.
If
So-
I hadn't told you, would you have still knocked over the vase?
Well,
Mind
it's
blown.
not so much that it's if you make this one decision, it can have consequences, but if you
Yep.
didn't make it, do you think everything would have turned out rosy forever because you didn't do that one thing? You
Well-
can't be stuck on that
Yeah.
with guilt about that.
Well, speaking of the one thing, at the beginning of the series, they went back in time to correct something. What was it?
I
Season 2?
Yeah, in
Well,
season 2, they went back
right,
in
so-
time.
because the future was now like all messed up.
Yeah.
Right.
So what was it that they had to go fix?
They had to save Renee. They had to make sure she got to Europa.
Well, why would she? Well, I mean, what caused her not to do that?
Soon.
Does
Right,
it
so
stop soon?
We're assuming that somehow the series of events plays out in this alternate timeline that he succeeds,
Mm-hmm.
right? But he succeeds because Q has set it up for him to succeed. So Q has caused this problem.
Yeah.
Everything is all, we basically at the answer, this is all driven. All of this is driven by Q's desire to, before he moves on,
Mm-hmm.
to
reconcile
get Picard to
or yes.
realize that he can't stay stuck in the past.
Right.
So he admits, and you fixed it. He goes, yeah, but people died. No, nobody who died. Well, Eleanor died. Yes. Well, you didn't save
yeah, them.
everybody, but
Yeah.
most everybody.
I guess the thing that they were correcting was actually Picard's past, not necessarily, his
Ultimately,
issues he was dealing with.
that's what it was, right?
Mhm.
I like.
Okay. All right, that makes a little more sense.
What did you think about Sung pulling out the file?
Well, first of all, it's like really everything else, all of the rest of your work is all on the computer with no backup copy, and you have a paper printout of Project Con.
I think I'll be honest with you. I think that in some ways, the people that are in charge of Trek are way too hung up on Khan. I think they need to move on.
And Borgs.
And
Well,
Borg.
if you go with the TOS timeline, the eugenics wars already happened by 2024.
Well, the cover for this
it was in the 90s, wasn't it?
For the
Well,
cover,
they
the
launched
cover of
in
this
the
proposal was the cover for the proposal was I think it's June 7th or July. I didn't get to look up the actual date if it has significance.
It's right behind you.
No, well, I can't see it, but it's 1997, which is when the eugenics wars were supposed to have happened. So we're already in an alternate reality, but we knew that was going to be coming anyway because the war hasn't happened. It's supposed to be our reality, so you can't have the war unless it was really kept hush hush from everybody.
So are they implying Sung is the father of the eugenics wars?
Certainly in charge of eugenics, which I guess would lead into his work of his ancestor in Enterprise, working in eugenics, right? Whichever Sung that one was, I forget. So
Jerry.
Yeah, Phil Sung.
Todd.
Carl Sung.
Absolutely.
Sooner later. Okay. Anyway, we could go on for hours on that.
Sooner or later.
All right, but Q then is going to send everybody back, and what a surprise! Rio says, "I'm not going."
Yeah, it wasn't a huge surprise, really. I thought he would probably go back, but
or take them back with him.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
take
but
Teresa
I don't think,
and Ricardo.
But see, I don't think that would ever happen because why would she leave? She has this mission to save people in the neighborhood. It's like, well, she can't do that from,
well, those people would be missing out.
It's a bigger neighborhood in space.
Yeah, but all the people that she was supposed to be helping would have been missing out.
Right.
Over the years.
So I don't think she would have gone.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out that ultimately that's the way they spend the rest of their lives is working on that type of thing to rescue people, to help those in need. And she dies of old age and he dies in a fight.
That's right. Poor guy.
But their son,
he was smoking on a cigar, so that's what he said.
But their son manages to help save the planet thanks to Auntie Renee, who brings back
the life
that organism
form she found on Europa.
Which that makes sense because then that's like, well, Girardi is saying that if the mission succeeds, your work will become meaningless because your work is the planet is like collapsing and everything is going to pot. Well, if Renee returns, that's not easy to say, with this organism and it helps solve the problems, then you're a footnote in history.
Introducing an organism from another environment has never had any severe consequences.
It's not an invasive species at all. It's a little smiley face.
I read the story about the elephant and the mouse, and then they get the splinter out, and you got something else to come in and something else. Give a pig a pancake.
Yep. Give a moose a muffin. They're all over the place. If you put an organism from Europa in the ocean, you're going to have to.
Yeah. I was just thinking, what did they go?
Odo's going to be mad.
What did they go? Oh, this organism likes to eat plastic. Let's put it in the ocean. I wonder how that came about. Anyway, probably a little too deep for.
Okay, so Q snaps his fingers. They're back on board.
The
Cerritos.
The Cerritos.
Cerritos. That would have been fun.
That would be interesting.
Boimler comes in with his purple hair. Hey,
Picard can identify.
And at least somebody asks, "Where's the captain?" At least somebody.
At least somebody did. Or Elnor. Wasn't Elnor there on the way out?
And Picard chides him and tells him to turn around. It's an order.
Focus.
And It seemed like that galactic event was just a little too convenient. It was like, oh, we came here because we knew we need all your help to fix the hole in the space that's right over there.
Well,
where did that come from?
I don't have a problem with that. They have detected that there's a buildup of something and something is going to happen there. That I don't have a problem with. What I have a problem with is there were so many more ships that showed up when the androids were being threatened than when there's like what 12 ships there, to harmonize the shields of the 12 ships.
Well,
and
to be fair, it didn't look like a cut and paste job. There were
no, that's true.
There.
That's why they had to do that. But
yeah,
it's just like that's the fleet is like pretty damn small. That's you got to show up here, and they're going to be responsible for saving the entire quadrant.
They hailed the Excelsior, and who answers the screen but Elnor, Ensign Elnor?
Who's surprised that he's there?
Who picked up the phone? Elnor?
the captain's in the bathroom, sir.
Oh!
I mean, the head. Like, what? That was like, what? Why would?
That's right. Hey, and all those ships, I did see a Galaxy class, like the Enterprise D was in there, which I thought was cool. And then their other ones are too small; it's hard to really pick them all out. But that one, I actually could see it twice. That I could say.
It was nice to see that the seeds that Seven planted in 2024 stayed with Jurati. She still friendly towards other people, not out to assimilate. Mm-hmm. And she said, "I'm here to help, but I need you to trust me." And then
can you imagine being on one of the other ships and the order comes in, oh, the Borg are going to take over your ship. Don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, just go with it.
But what about the last 30 years of canon?
Hey, well, what's funny is they took the command from another previous Borg.
That's right.
Yeah. Because she was sitting
everything is fine. Chair. No problem.
Yeah. Don't look at the view screen.
Then she says, "We want to be part of the Federation." How would you take that?
Well,
yeah, she wants provision. They want provisional acceptance into the Federation, so they can remain as guardians of the gate in case this of this new wormhole.
So we're just going to call. Yeah, sounds very Deep Space Nine-ish.
So the talking about the what I forget what it's called, the big galactic event.
Celestial Temple.
So,
he means the thing of admitting the.
Yeah, so
that
the
was
threat
the prophets puking.
The threat made sense because the Borg would also be impacted, as well as everybody else. So that's why they came and was trying to get help to do everybody to save us all. So that, to me, that made sense. But yeah, this fleet looked a little small compared to the end of season 1.
I mean, yeah, they were all cut and paste ships, but there were a heck of a lot more of them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's like, again with the Picard, we'll send some ships, this stuff. But when
that old man again.
And then we travel back to 10 Forward to have some final words with Guinan, and she lets us know that she had a spoiler alert all along.
Yeah, Easter eggs in the bar,
I want to go back and look. I'm curious to look and see if the pictures are in the right.
It's got to be there. It's got to be there. It might be out of focus, but it's there.
Right. I figure that it's there, but they don't obviously linger on the shot.
No, but I do remember noticing that the bar had pictures and stuff, because I thought, wow, they did a good job making it look like a real bar because they had pictures and stuff. But I don't remember specifically if that was one of them, but I thought it looked. I remember noticing them. So.
Nope, easy enough to
worked
go back.
in a bar. I know. I look for that kind of stuff.
And then we have a nice going away party, getting back together party, and Elnor gets his first taste of
Romulan ale.
I hope
Jägermeister.
Whoa,
yeah, Jägermeister. That's what it looked like. Oh, that is awful.
Yeah.
Romulan ale, Jägermeister. Is there a difference? I'm not sure.
Even in the 25th century, Jägermeister is still nasty.
That's not what he said on the cruise. Evan was putting them back pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
And we head back to Chateau Picard for Picard's chance at redemption
With
with Laris.
Laris.
Okay, well, that
Right.
cheapened that moment right up.
Yeah. That and potty humor.
Yeah.
Craig's always good for a fart joke.
What? I don't do fart jokes. That's
But
so
it's-
beneath me.
Essentially, Picard asked for a second chance. He says, well, time cannot give us second chances. Maybe people can. And as we pull back,
that sounds like a Hallmark card, doesn't it?
yeah, and as we pull back and pan up, we see the Milky Way and we see a flash of light just before we cut to credits.
We see two. Well, you see a streak, like a
Right, we see
And
a
then-
meter, but in the middle of it, we see this like little winky thing.
I
that
thought somebody
that
was
was
going,
Q ascending to a higher plane.
or
Ah.
it was somebody going to warp. I don't know. It happens all the time.
I don't think so. I think that was meant there.
It was a
there
cosmic fart.
specifically.
There's the fart joke. for
me.
people. There it is.
All right, it's time to rate this episode.
Hmm.
I think we already berated it.
All right, so we have to have a scale. What do we got for suggestions for a scale here? Borgatti's?
Q.
Jägermeister.
We each have our own. I think we've all picked one. Okay, so I will go first. I'm going to give this. I'm thinking this episode on its own. So I'm going to give this one 8. I might go 8.5.
Mhm.
I thought it had some really strong emotional moments at the
Mhm.
end,
Mhm.
but some of the stuff that led up to it was like, oh, we could have, to Craig's point, we could have done this a lot sooner to get to this point. So
Mhm.
frustrated with that things are wrapping up in odd ways and kind of just trailing off in odd ways, but it did have emotional impact. So I'm going to go 8.5 Bugattis. And Chuck.
I'm going with 8Q. That sounds like a bet or something.
AQ.
Because
Sounds like you're going to play pool or something. I'm going for
Right.
the
Roughly the same answers. I thought it was, yeah, like you said, it was drawn out. The whole season was drawn out, and even this episode just felt a little longer than it needed to be. They have varied the length on these episodes.
it's only 48 minutes long,
One was
including
like 30.
recap and credits.
Yeah, one was like
Okay.
30, right? One episode.
No.
Like
but it
32
was-
minutes.
That
It's
short.
pretty short though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is-
I think it
this
was
was-
around 40, 45.
No, not this. I mean, there was a 30-minute episode.
No, there was not a 30-minute episode.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh,
There was
really?
a shorter one.
All right.
Go
Well,
look.
let's not debate that moment right now.
Sounds like a discussion with my wife at this point.
Let us move on. We have
You did
the-
say that. No, I didn't. You did. You did. I heard you say that. Okay.
The
Anyway,
topic is-
8Q, Craig.
Okay. So, the whole season was a mixed bag. This could have been a 2-hour movie, I think, to be honest with you. Everything that needed to happen happened in the last episode. Everybody was spinning their wheels the whole last 8 episodes. And the first one was pretty good and kind of set everything up. So, however, based on this one episode, I'm gonna give it about 8.5 keys.
Okay. Okay.
I thought you were doing Jaegers.
I decided to go with keys.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. We
Bricks.
got keys and cues and Bugattis, all sorts of wackiness going on. All
Yeah.
right, now let's move on to our second episode, which is Strange New Worlds, Season 1, Episode 1, Strange New Worlds, written by Akiva Goldsman, Alex Kurtzman, and Jenny Lumet, and directed by Akiva Goldsman. The all Akiva Goldsman show going on right here, right now. And a brief
What is this? Like the
synopsis?
fifth episode one we've introduced in the last 5 years in this show? pretty good.
Well, we could let's see. We've had Discovery.
Discovery season 1, episode 1.
We've had Short Treks. We've had Lower Decks. We've had Picard,
Prodigy.
So yeah,
and now Strange New Worlds.
yeah, so a lot.
We're doing pretty
lot.
good.
And we're not done
That's
yet.
better
I'm
than the
sure.
previous 5 years.
Right.
Exactly. All right,
Yeah.
brief synopsis. Captain Christopher Pike comes out of self-imposed exile, I don't know, to rescue an officer gone missing during a secret mission. Okay, I did not write that brief synopsis. That one came from I think
Akiva
IMDb.
Goldsman, he wrote it.
Yeah, Akiva. He also wrote our show notes for this evening. It's very nice of him to take time out to do that.
Yeah.
Suck
what a
up.
pal. What a pal. Yeah,
Yeah.
suck up.
I don't think it was a secret mission, and I don't think it was so much exile as he had. But anyway, let's move on from that, shall we, to the actual episode. What we find when we begin this episode is that, as we suspected from all these trailers, Pike really is not feeling it. He's really obsessed, as one might imagine one is, by this vision of his future that he received in the season of Discovery, where he was grabbed onto the time crystal and saw himself in the chair and saw himself being trapped in with the radiation and all of that. And it's now just kind of, it's shaken him. I think, and you say, well, why didn't he feel that way during the season of Discovery? And I think that it's because there were other things he had to do. That was like, put it in the back of your mind right now, process that later.
Yeah.
We gotta get rid of
Well, and
control.
he
at
did
this
mention
point.
that on the ready room. He mentioned that he just there were too many things going on for him to take time to really process it. So
And you see why you wouldn't want
Mhm.
that to be happening at that point, because in this episode there are several points where he sees his reflection in a mirror, in the captain's
Bourbon,
chair console,
whiskey or whatever. Yeah.
he just sees that face.
Oh, it wasn't that face. They just needed to clean the surface.
Oh, I see. That would have made it. If only they'd
We
known.
said we're going to be altering your face so you can go down to the planet. Get over it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, well, look at this face instead. It's a much nicer face.
Yeah.
But yeah, he really doesn't know what he's going to do, because, and he's got time to wait, because, well, the Enterprise isn't quite ready yet to be going out. Well,
Wasn't that the same house that Kirk had in Generations?
I don't think so, because that one was like right at this, wasn't it right at the side of a mountain? It was like a little.
It sure
bunch of
looked
trees
like a
around it.
familiar kitchen to me.
Well, I look at it this way: he's the second captain we've seen cook breakfast.
That's right.
That's what clued me in. Only this time his girlfriend came to the table instead of shouting from the bedroom upstairs.
Hey, will you hand me those Katerian eggs over there? Just sitting on the counter. Anyway.
There's
But he
something
gets-
missing, and then he points to the toaster. And in comes Butler. Like, okay, so basically Kirk stole your home after you got burned in a fire.
Right.
Pretty much. Rank
Yeah.
has its privileges. But Admiral April
Mhm.
shows up going, hey, you haven't been answering your calls. You got to go out there and go on this mission to save this person. He goes,
Get someone
I-
else.
yeah, I don't want. We find out it's number one who's gone missing. So it's like, oh crap, I guess I got to go back.
Yep.
And he reluctantly gets back to
Very reluctantly. He was dismissing it. Oh, why is this my problem? What? He was really pushing back.
And
Yeah.
unlike every other time we've seen a captain approach the Enterprise or your ship of your choice in dry dock,
Mhm.
he wasn't like smiling. He was like,
Yeah.
well,
Well,
old man,
yeah,
had
he-
to
It
shave.
was- you can't. I'm sorry, but this whole flyby of the ship in space dock is getting to be a trope to me.
Well, they kept it very, very short.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
did.
they
And they
didn't,
didn't even dock. They just like, just beam me the heck
Yeah.
out of here.
Yeah. That's right. No,
I
I
did
thought
like-
they handled it pretty well.
I did like the scene from The Day the Earth Stood Still. I think that's gonna
Oh,
show up somewhere else.
Oh.
Or that's a cue to something.
yeah.
Well, I think it was the fact that what he was, what the character was saying was essentially what the Federation and Starfleet are.
Yeah,
Those
that's true.
words-
It was a foreshadowing of what
Mhm.
Pike had to do for the Kylie 279ers.
peacekeeping force and blah, blah, all these,
Yeah.
this sort of stuff.
Okay, what did you think of the intro? The music, the graphics? Let's talk about our new intro.
Well, I have a theory about the intro, because we know now with these current Trek iterations that there's always imagery and it changes per season, not
Yeah.
extensively sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, there were what I consider to be 10 major shots of the Enterprise, not the first couple or the very end, but main shots where the credits are.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 10 episodes. And I'm wondering if each one of those main images has to do with an episode.
What's
Hmm.
happening? Yeah.
And so that next season you would have 10 other images of the Enterprise. So that's the first thing I thought of. We get back to the classic space
The-
of Final Frontier.
Yep. With the where no one has gone before. So it was TNG verse. I thought that watching the ship fly around and fly around and fly around felt very Voyager to me. Voyager intro.
Oh, yeah.
Here's another
did.
angle of the ship going past
Well,
something else.
You could also argue that the ship is also a character in and of itself. So
Yeah, that's
the Enterprise
been said for a long time.
hmm
And I suppose if you think about it, DS9 was a lot of shots of the space station. So
Well, they could have done it like an intro to the A Team. They show the ship flying around, and then you see, freeze frame where they.
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's also Prodigy does the same thing, right? You have the ship flying through various imagery. Discovery, the ship is in every one of the shots. Sometimes it's small, sometimes it's big, but it's going through every single shot.
That little stinger at the beginning where the ship flies past the Delta Shield, that felt like Prodigy to me. It's like, ooh, there's a rainbow behind a ship.
Yeah,
I
cool.
felt like that was.
The more you
something-
know.
I just felt like there was something they were going to try for a Star Trek identity at the very open of shows.
Yeah.
So I expect it will also show up not with the Enterprise, or maybe it would be, but kind of a variation of that for all the shows would have that, just to go Star Trek, and then you go into the series itself, because it didn't identify itself as Strange New Worlds, it just said Star Trek.
Right.
It was like
the show.
It was like a Star Trek. Here's this, like almost like the CBS thing when
I was just gonna say, is that replacing the do 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 do?
Or it would be on the. Actually, I was thinking more like when they did a special, like the holiday special. It's like,
no,
okay, here's a stinger for Star Trek.
Maybe.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Or like the little Nickelodeon.
The intro, you're right. The Enterprise is flying around a lot, but they did have some beautiful shots of the ship, especially especially there's that star behind them, and there's the side of the ship, and you can kind of see a little bit of haze, wave in the light. The whole thing I thought was beautiful.
Okay, so back on Vulcan.
Yeah,
Spock's having dinner with T'Pring.
Bounce, chicka, wow, wow.
And he mentions something. He said, on planet whatever, the oceans are made of liquid mercury. On Earth, they're made of water. What are Vulcan oceans made of?
Sand.
Sand. It gets everywhere. No, I don't know.
Volcanoes?
Liquid.
Well, we've only seen
sulfur? I don't know.
desert-like environments there.
Well,
Yeah.
I thought we saw.
When they're having dinner, you see and hear an ocean, but you don't really know what it's made of. It's not liquid methane, because it would be really, really freezing cold.
I don't know. I'm trying to think if we have seen an instance of what's there.
Well, I looked for Vulcan.
It's full of
I know.
plummet soup.
I said Vulcan have water.
It's made out of
That's it.
beef broth.
Here's what Google said. Actually, it's from Wikipedia. Having evolved on a desert world, Vulcans can survive without water for longer periods than humans.
But you would still have to have water. You could just survive longer without it.
It's made up of plomeek soup.
Yes.
And Vulcans can go without sleep for as long as 2 weeks. Just letting you know.
Just don't. No, you
The
don't.
more
wanna
you
be on-
know.
Just put it out there.
You don't want to be on there. Okay, so T'Pring proposes to Spock, which is nice to see. Their culture for doing that. Fully endorse that, and then they adjourn to the boudoir.
Well, after the waiter says, get a room, you
Get
two.
somewhere else.
Right. I'm good. Would you mind taking that somewhere else?
Hey, by the way, I was watching again. I mentioned this earlier.
Yeah,
I was
your parents just did this. That
Yeah.
would be, that's fine.
Hey, I was walking I was watching it early this morning on my phone, and I had the headphones on, and there was a part I couldn't really see because of the sun and everything, and I heard, "Can you please take that somewhere else?" I went,
Let me
"What?"
find some shade real quick. What were they
I didn't
doing?
even see the guy come in the frame. I just heard that. I went,
Oh,
"Who
yeah.
said that?"
But what's interesting, because you think of this scene going, well, they seem to be very happy with each other. This is kind of a far cry from
Dun dun
what
dun
happens.
dun dun dun
But
dun 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 dun.
I noticed that they already laid in this feeling that T'Pring has, that she eventually can, voices that Spock will never be there.
Yes.
That as soon as I have to take this call, I have to go, and T'Pring will understand.
I'm
Oh, will she?
No, she says, I
Hey.
don't wanna chase you around, and he says, "We don't have to chase the
I
things
l
we already have."
I like the part where he says, "That should have been a query." And I looked at my wife, and she was like, "Yeah, that should have been a query."
Exactly. But I think it was driving home the point that, because you have to figure out, well, where does this rift come to the point where she is fine with him being killed? Because he's become this legend. He's never going to be there. And we just get those first glimmers of how that is all going to go down, I think,
Yeah.
in those quick scenes.
Yeah, I thought it made a lot of sense. Yeah, because I guess at some point he strings her along enough where he keeps wanting to go out into space. Obviously, we know he's been there for quite a while, and he just wasn't there. That's why Suter showed up.
Yep. Stan was always there.
Stan.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, sorry. Well, when we get to the ship, what I find interesting is that not once, but twice, and then a third time, because I guess he asked nicely, the Admiral asked nicely, we have conversations like out in the open about the Discovery. The first one is
Oh,
Spock and Pike talking. Now he just talks about losing his sister. So that
yeah, it
was
was
like,
kind of a
okay,
private conversation, although they're walking in the hallway.
right.
But
But I mean, okay, so the Discovery supposedly was lost in battle. So it's okay, all right. But then the second time this happens, when we're in that elevator after rescuing Una,
Mhm.
and Una is reluctant to tell what the story is about how they developed this warp bomb. And he says, that's okay. I need to know, even though she doesn't have clearance. And she starts talking about the Discovery and the battle and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
There's two other scientists. So like they know this now too.
They had their ear pods in.
Oh, wait, let me check the
They couldn't hear.
tricorder. Yep, they got clearance.
And then it's such a deep, dark secret that Admiral April says, yeah, I asked and they told me. What?
Yeah.
Well, that's a really
Can we keep
great,
secrets around here anymore?
that's a great secret you guys
About
are
as
keeping
secure
there.
as the ship's database again.
Oh my goodness.
All right, we're going to stamp this top secret. Go ahead and fax it to everybody.
Plus the fact we find out that it was so close to all these other worlds that, okay, they saw the ships, they figured out warp signatures from it. I would imagine they also saw the Discovery just kind of,
And then
going
they
off
all
somewhere.
they all followed the star to the manger, and they found the baby.
Right.
So I was kind of, okay, to not ignore the fact that Discovery was a thing, I think that's fine. But it's like, boy, we're really playing fast and loose with who knows about it.
Especially when they took the vow not to say anything about,
Ever.
especially
Again.
Michael. But yeah, they said about the whole thing.
Because you don't want control to, have any latches into anything.
Maybe
and
that's
blah,
how
blah,
they're
blah.
rooting out control spies.
Control's
Section
like,
31.
oh, look, I just got an email. Oh, there's the top secret information I need.
You see the two scientists texting.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me email Starfleet all.
Oh, I meant that was it was just supposed to be one person. Oh.
Reply all.
Whistleblower at starfleet.com.
All right. So we get on board the Enterprise, and we find out that, of course, obviously, number one is not there, so we need a new number one, if you will, and that is Noonien Singh.
Which rhymes with Khan Noonien Singh.
Yeah.
What a weird coinkydink.
So we'll find out more about that as the season goes along, I'm sure. We don't get much about it, but we do get to find out that apparently, even though it's the first time Kirk encountered one, Gorns. Yeah, we know all about the Gorns.
He had it on his little pad. He was reading up on the Gorn.
Because he was reading up on Noonien Singh. And
yeah.
So
wait, does this still work? None. Okay, kind of.
So I don't know. Was the database not working that day on Kirk's Enterprise that they didn't have any idea what the Gorn was? Because clearly they knew about it on Pike's Enterprise. She's talking all about it, with how they treat prisoners and blah, 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 and do this, do that, do the other thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they would. Maybe they said, well, we got to delete all references to the Gorn. That's what happens on the last episode.
And we'll never talk about them again.
Just like we never talked about
Gorn.
Have you ever seen a Gorn? Yeah, we see them all the time. Let me tell you about them.
We also find out that the crew didn't get a chance to all get there. And so Pike had asked for Lieutenant Kirk.
Hint.
They actually mentioned it a few times.
But he wasn't able to make it there in time because the ship had to leave early. So they have spattering of crew.
He was running down the hallway trying to get his pants and boots on.
I'm sure he was.
The ship was already
gone.
Okay, why was there a fireplace in his ready room? And that was a big ready room.
Because fireplaces are everywhere now on Trek. I noticed that there's a fireplace also in the, for lack of a better term, 10 forward on Discovery.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't they have didn't Michael have one in her quarters? It was like a hologram.
I don't know if I can't remember if she did, but I know that there was one in the lounge area for if it has a name, I don't know it, but I can't remember it. But a large one, like
forward.
Yeah, exactly. 10.
Hey, by the way, can we talk about the elevator scene for a second when they had the music playing? It was like an awkward...
Yes, it was just music in space.
They're all kind of standing around going, like you would in an elevator.
I do like how they kept Pike's sense of humor, or his one-liners. Is this? He gets on the PA and he says, "I hope I didn't catch any of you with your hair wet or your pants down."
And we're talking to you, Kirk.
Yeah, exactly.
Lieutenant Kirk.
And Pike gets asked the essential question that we all want to know the answer to, because he has Kyle beam them down to the planet because they need to go rescue number one and those two scientists. And when they beam down, he asks the question, why is it always an alley?
Yeah.
Just
because it is pretty much.
Well, because there's nobody there. That's why it's always
you
an
don't
alley.
Want to beam down in the middle of an intersection.
Yeah, right in the middle. Cars coming by.
We get to meet Nurse Chapel.
They pulled the Batcave in that process as well, because they beam out with their Starfleet clothing on.
Yes.
Materialize with their native attire on.
Yeah,
apparently the transporter now takes care of wardrobe.
Yeah, because usually they had clothes on the ship or synthesized them, I guess. Why did they do it like that? I thought that was a little...
Oh, that Kyle, he's so wacky.
Was that Lieutenant Kyle?
Yep.
I want to know what happened to Delta Scorpii 1 through 6 situations. They said we have when they beam the two alien guys up and one wakes up and runs away. She says we have a Delta Scorpii 7 situation. Does anybody know what that means?
It means there's a guy running around the ship, but we find out that Uhura's pretty chill about the whole thing. Just kind of occupies them talking about sports.
Yeah,
yes,
that's right. That's right.
Oh, you know about that? Oh, yeah.
She's been listening to their radio.
Because there's no subspace chatter, so she's just listening to the radio.
Yeah, let's just listen.
Don't need all that subspace chatter.
Exactly, Charlie. That's what Uhura said.
Hey, I did like Mbanga, I thought he was pretty good so far. Him
Right. So we
and
get
Nurse
to meet
Chapel.
the medical team,
Mhm.
and so we don't talk about the previous. We don't the previous doctor doesn't get name dropped, but we find out that Mabenga has just come on board,
Right.
Mhm.
and presumably at the request of Pike, because they know each other. So I'm assuming that's why
Mhm.
he's there.
And he had a very TOS looking shirt. I mean, it had the short sleeve like McCoy would have, but it had the right collar and everything. It looked like it belonged on TOS almost.
So the always trendsetters in medical.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, and Nurse
Yeah.
Chapel is a specialist in what is she specializing in?
It was like DNA resequencing something.
Yeah, she's
Genome. Yeah.
so she knows how to alter people's genes and disguise
News
them.
to us.
Right. Well, I think that's good to have Nurse
But at one
Chapel have
point,
more.
Pike refers to her. He says doctor. He calls her doctor. He says, damn the ramparts, doctor.
Well, I mean,
Maybe that was just part of the expression.
I think it's just
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
think that meant anything there.
Mhm.
Uh,
I did like how Spock's ears looked like they were melting, and and
Well,
the lady on the elevator was like, "What the?"
Ooh, that's not a good thing. What is that? And they just leave. They just walk
Yeah.
out.
they
right.
get caught, and again, Pike has a good line. Take me to your leader, which is
Yeah.
kind of funny in itself. They get to this lady with the really interesting hairdo, and
Kind of a half rand going on.
I swear it sounded like Elizabeth Dennehy, who plays Lieutenant Commander Shelby or Commander Shelby from TNG, but I could not find the actress's name, and I looked up Elizabeth's creds on IMDb. Did not include Strange New Worlds, so it was my imagination. But why isn't that actress listed? Couldn't find it in Memory Alpha. Couldn't find it on IMDb. Very curious as to who played that character.
Which one again? I'm sorry.
The leader who says, the one with the biggest stick wins. They were having that discussion about, hey, we've been at war with this other faction for hundreds of years, and we've got a new weapon. We can end the war because the person with the biggest weapon wins. That lady, she had like the blonde hair that got caught in the wind.
Right.
Yeah. Glenn Close.
For a moment, it sounded like Shelby.
Well, I don't know.
I haven't been able to find that. Okay. So, and then Pike says, he spills the beans and he goes, well, okay, if you want the biggest stick to win, I'm bringing in my stick. Look up there.
Yeah, there's my stick. It's a big metal stick.
Yeah, he was kind of going off the rails. I mean, they with the
whole general order number 1.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, come on now.
We thought Kirk was loose with the rules.
Hey, speaking of loose with the rules, I thought just growing up, I thought that the Enterprise couldn't go into atmosphere.
Well, they went really slow.
They were in the atmosphere when they got the throwback to the 1960 jet pilot.
I mean,
I know you're absolutely right, but
I don't think it could land. It has no ability to land.
Oh yeah, maybe not. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's
Voyager had struts.
It did. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see that credit. It's weird that's.
We get some new canon though. They renamed General Order 1 to the Prime Directive.
But Pike says, that'll never stick.
Yeah. The Prime Directive. It's that important.
It is. It's the Amazon Prime Directive. I'm telling you right now.
We can get you your shipment in 2 days. All right.
So we end the episode with the inhabitants of Riley 279. That's an easy planet to remember.
It's right next to Wolf 359.
It appeared as if they were picking up, the cue from a piece of the action, that they're observing all about the Enterprise because it's in low orbit right there.
Mm-hmm.
And they're figuring out, well, this is this and that's that. And here's how a human works, because we have those diagrams.
And a Vulcan. Yep.
Yeah, the
And
diagram.
I can't quite tell if they were doing this because they wanted to better integrate into the Federation based on the invitation, or were they trying to like, hey, we can make our own this, that, and the other thing?
I thought I got the impression that they were an inspiration, and just like remember in Star Trek Beyond, when they stole the scroll and were running through the trees and stuff.
Star Trek
and,
Into Darkness.
I'm sorry, Into Darkness at the beginning, and then the natives started drawing the Enterprise in the sand.
Yeah, but keep in mind, these are people that observed the battle with Control and developed a warp bomb. So now they have something that has showed up and is just lingering.
Well, Pike's
in their
speech,
atmosphere.
his speech was just
So
really set them off.
I just couldn't quite make out. I couldn't figure out, were they telling us that they're anxious to be part of this, or they just really like to copy things and make their own so they have them.
Oh, like Packlids, except for they don't make it.
Yeah, they
they
to
are
Clinton's
smart, though.
point, the piece of the action would probably be more appropriate.
Yeah.
So in that case, they were just kind of.
I got the feeling over a period of time, they were, because they showed school kids, and then they showed, and they were all like learning, and it was an inspiration for everybody. That's what I got. Which turned them all around, because now they're not a warring world. They were showing them as the opposite of that.
Yeah, of piecing. They were piecing. They were piecing around.
Piecing out. Yeah.
They talked to Borgatti and said, "Hey, peace is the way, brother."
Yeah, but it would look like it was a almost like a montage of time passing, and school kids were drawing on the chalkboard, and they were studying the anatomy and stuff. I thought that the Enterprise and the aliens, from their point of view, was an inspiration.
Okay, all right, fair enough. And our last bit here that I have jotted down.
Pike gives Lon a job.
Yes,
I'd like you to be my security officer. I don't know. Have either of you watched the show The Expanse?
Yes.
No.
You remember the character Bobby Draper?
Yes.
Is it my imagination, or does Lon Noonien Singh kind of resemble? Every once in a while she'd say something like, "Wow, that was a Bobby Draper line."
Well, they're both in Toronto, and they kind of had a lot of exchange of actors and conversations. So who the heck knows? But
maybe it was a little bit of the accent. I don't know, but it was kind of cool.
But we've had these references throughout the episode peppered in about Lieutenant Kirk, and then Lieutenant Kirk is on his way to the bridge,
and he shows up with a mustache.
And you go, wait a minute, what the what? But it's
wow.
It's Sam. Well, it's actually George Kirk, because it's George Samuel Kirk. Kirk was James T was the only one who called him Sam.
Right.
So it's actually George Samuel Kirk, and that is who shows up on the ship.
But Pike called him Sam.
Oh, well, then Kirk was wrong about maybe he didn't know that Pike called him that.
Did anyone else chuckle when Pike gave his signature line, his 2 words for make this ship go?
Let's fly? No, that
wasn't
let's fly. It wasn't engage. Yeah, I was laughing because he says hit it. Like, how long did it take Saru to come up with a line?
Yeah, no,
engage the engines for forward
Saru
momentum.
was workshopping it with everybody.
Yeah,
right.
That's the key. Don't workshop it.
I did kind of like the misdirection at first. I was like, wow, I thought they weren't bringing that character Kirk on until the second season.
I was disappointed, though, it's not being played by the same actor.
Right.
Who's playing, because that would be perfect, because Shatner, for that one shot you see of Sam Kirk in the episode where he's dead, it's just Shatner with the mustache. So he's got the mustache, but it's not the same actor.
Strong resemblance.
Hey, even Kim said when they mentioned Kirk, she went, "Really?" I was like, I'd already seen it this morning, but I was like, so I was surprised. I was like, that was actually a pretty good misdirection. I went, wow, they're really bringing him on early. And then, oh, hey, Sam. I was like, it's like, wow. Anyway.
All right. So we don't have any overt loose threads.
Nope.
We're gonna have to worry about next week because
it was episodic, like promised.
That was it.
Except for Pike's issue he's got to deal with the whole time.
Right. I think what they said was that there were going to be arcs of type, and I thought they would mean in a season like a really loose theme.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not an arc. I know. Yeah,
but I think what they then clarified that as is that things that happen affect things later on, or if something is like what was going on with Pike will go on for a while, and obviously things like it's not like plot per se.
Ethan Peck put it right. I watched it was really right before the premiere the other day, probably last week they showed a thing almost like a anyway, they were talking about Ethan Peck. He said he mentioned that all the episodes are standalone. However, the characters live through them, so their experiences carry forward. And I was like, okay, well that makes sense because of Pike and T'Pring and all that stuff. So
T'Pring to summer to fall to winter.
That's right.
Should we rate this one?
We should.
Well, wait a minute. I do want to talk about one thing before we go any further.
Sure.
It's an hour and 15 into this. Make it quick already.
It is. Well, I was going to say, I just wanted to mention that I thought the aesthetic of the show was spot on because they took a lot of the stylings of the 60s show and brought them forward, and they didn't look too crazy. I mean, it looked like even the tricorder looked like a tricorder.
Except the warp core, the engine room was like, that's a lot bigger.
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger. Well, it makes sense that's bigger, but anyway, I thought the look of the ship, and as a whole, I liked the way they pulled it.
Yeah, I just forgot about it. I mean, by this point we've seen so many interiors of starships on Trek. I really wasn't thinking that much. I'm actually probably when I go watch it again, I'll be paying more attention to the way it looks.
That was great.
Yeah, I didn't expect to see the console in front of the navigator and the helmsman with Christmas lights, beep, bloop,
but it has it has it has buttons. It has physical big round buttons on it.
But it wasn't intentional to look like the original Enterprise.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely. I mean, that was meant.
It had a more modern theme to it.
Go look at when Uhura is sitting at her station and she turns. You can see the whole thing. It's still circular, and it has
but she wasn't sitting on that patio lounge chair.
No, it's an Adirondack.
No, no.
I thought he was going to say anorexic.
That'd be very awkward to try to reach the console from an Adirondack chair. I can't reach the buttons, Captain. Who thought
leaning back too far? But this smoothie is going down well.
I'm chill, but I don't know about all this.
She's sitting there with an umbrella drink.
Hailing frequencies open, Captain.
Who needs Ryza? All right.
But I did think that I thought Ethan Peck nailed Spock. I think it looks great. I think I like the demeanor of Pike so far, which I'm pretty sure
changed Spock's hairdo,
which I thought looked better than just a regular bowl cut. I thought it looked pretty good. I liked his hair. Did you guys? I mean, it did bother you?
I liked it better when he was in Discovery.
His sideburns, it's like, are they mutton chops or sideburns?
They come all the way, not all this far, but so anyway, I thought he did a great job. He
did. He
definitely sounded the part. It was great.
Agreed.
Anyway.
All right.
Okay. Rate them.
So for the first time, we're going to rate this. So we start. Craig, you can name your rating system of choice. And what is your rating?
I'm gonna go for wheelchairs. Okay, at least the bike wheelchair.
Too soon.
Another 10 years for that. Hold on.
Doesn't say it's 10 years.
I haven't seen Clinton lose it too often on this show, but that was a good one.
Cheers.
I think out of the gate, it was pretty solid. I'm going to say at least 8.5.
Okay. All right. And what say you, Chuck?
I thought I was first last time around.
Well, I was.
Oh, you was. Okay, I'm rating this in Gorns. As a new show, new episode, I think they did a great job. They introduced us to a lot of people. I thought there was just a little bit too much try to be packed into this one. I'm going with a 9. You know, it was crisp. It was visually appealing. I liked the intro. The music was good. The acting was well done, but it just felt like they were trying to hit too many cylinders.
Maybe they should have started off with a longer movie length episode 1. You know,
No, then we would have had a 20-minute fly by the ship.
With Pike looking disgruntled the entire time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
And when it turns around, he's looking at the the scaffolding. Oh,
That's right.
that's nice.
Don't tell me. It won't be until Tuesday.
All right. And I'm going to rate it. I'm going to give it the same rating I gave to the season finale of Picard. I'm going to give it an 8.5 warp bombs.
There you go.
I felt like the one thing we didn't really talk an awful lot about was the whole Pike speech about, in this war and, Earth's future and, kind of ripping a little too close to today's headlines with where they start their examples from.
Yeah. We became divided and torn. I'm like, oh, why don't you just show the White House being besieged on June 7th?
Yeah.
Well, they did. They showed the Capitol
little bit.
being. They showed the Capitol being
the Capitol
on this.
Oh, I thought they were showing something else. I didn't think that was the actual footage. Oh, that was okay. Yeah.
So I mean, while that's classic Trek, it's usually a tiny bit more held back.
Less obvious.
But overall, with everything this episode was trying to do, and the first episodes are always rough. It's the pilot, it's you're trying to introduce all your characters, your sets, everything is going on at the same time. So I feel like it was a solid start, but I'm going to give it an 8.5, which I think is good because it's kind of the same way I felt about the season finale of Picard. Some parts were good, some parts not so good. All right, that's it for our reviews. But if you have a rating and a rating system of your own that you want to give for the season finale of Picard or the season premiere of Strange New Worlds, then you can leave a note over on our Facebook page for The Topic is Trek. All right, that's about time to wrap it up here. So who speaks for you guys?
Go ahead, Craig.
All right. So if you want to find Chuck and myself, you can go look for the Google and search for Technorama Podcast, and you'll find us. And we're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TubeTube, you name it. We're on everything.
I'm searching for Google and nothing came up. What happened?
It's weird.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's kind of like a snake eating itself.
You can find me, Clinton, at Comedy Forecast, all one word with the number 4.com. Also on Twitter and Facebook and MeWe and Instagram. And if you looked really closely on the hull of the Enterprise as Pike was making his little tour around that thing. He actually didn't get to that part. If he'd gone all the way around, he would have seen me there. All right.
There you go. Yeah.
But, like usual, your show is the cutting room floor.
I tell you. All right. It's time to hit the theme, boys. If you like the show, please be sure to tell a friend about it and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. Follow us on Twitter at The Topic is Trek, visit our Facebook page, or visit thetopicistrek.com. Until next time, on behalf of Chuck, Craig, and myself, I'm Clinton, thanking you for listening. And as we always say here on The Topic is Trek, don't
put on the red shirt.
Chirp, chirp, chirp.
You can answer that?
Nope.
Yeah. Hey, did you notice when they it sounded like with the communicators, they were mixing a couple of old sound effects together? It didn't sound like just the it didn't sound like just the it sounded like they were. Yeah, but it sounded like it had a couple of different old sound effects mixed together.
A rotary phone.
That's it. No, it was. It sounded like a little bit of TNG, but then it had the typical communicator sound from TOS. I like how Spock put it in the thing and pulled up the screen.
Yeah, I never needed a little holder there for it.
Yeah, why didn't you just use Bluetooth?
He was charging it up at the same time. He was taking the message.
He had to charge it.
He needs to put it in the cradle at night.
Well, he was a little busy, so he didn't put it in the cradle. He forgot.
Yeah.
Wow. He was getting busy, all right.
Spock, are you naked?
Yeah.
We were about to be.
Hey, nothing like your captain calling, "Hey, what are you wearing?"
Nothing.
Captain, are you about to say, you up? What? What are you doing? What is going on here?
You up?
Hey, Spock, what's up? Oh, wrong question, Pike.
That's right.
All right, I'm going to end the stream.
All right. Oh, yeah.